The air was crisp, and the moon hung low in the star-studded sky as I embarked on a journey to visit my friend in a remote town nestled deep within the woods. The GPS guided me through a labyrinth of narrow roads and dense forests, making me feel as though I was entering another world altogether. With each mile, civilization seemed to fade away. As I ventured deeper into the night, a sense of unease began to creep over me. The darkness outside my car window seemed impenetrable, broken only by the feeble glow of my headlights. My phone signal had long disappeared, leaving me alone with the haunting sounds of the wilderness. I was deep in thought, contemplating whether to turn back, when I saw her, a young woman drenched in rain, standing by the roadside. Her appearance was disheveled, her eyes filled with desperation. A sense of duty overcame my unease, and I pulled over. "Are you all right?" I asked, rolling down the window. She seemed hesitant at first, but finally muttered, "I need a ride. Please, anywhere but here." I couldn't leave her stranded in the middle of nowhere, so I unlocked the door, allowing her to slide into the passenger seat. Her name was Emma, and her story was as mysterious as the night itself. She claimed to have been on the run, but her reasons remained obscure. I decided not to pry. After all, she was a stranger. With Emma beside me, the journey seemed to pass more quickly. Her conversation was engaging, and her presence helped dispel the eerie silence of the forested road. As the clock approached midnight, she suddenly grew somber. "Can you take me to a place not far from here?" she asked, her voice trembling. I agreed, and she directed me to a hidden path leading deeper into the woods. My unease returned, but I couldn't deny her request. The path grew narrower and more treacherous, but Emma assured me we were on the right track. Finally, we arrived at an old, dilapidated cabin that seemed abandoned for years. Emma asked me to wait in the car while she went inside, promising she'd be back shortly. Minutes turned to hours, and I grew increasingly anxious. The cabin remained cloaked in darkness, and there was no sign of Emma. The night seemed endless as I sat alone in my car, haunted by thoughts of what might have befallen her. Just as I was about to call for help, I heard a rustling in the trees. I turned to see Emma emerging from the woods, but she was no longer the person I had picked up earlier. Her clothes were torn and stained with blood, and her eyes held a manic glint. Trembling, I asked what had happened, but her response sent chills down my spine. "They're here," she whispered, her voice quivering. "We need to leave, now." I didn't know who she meant by they, but I didn't need further convincing. I started the car, and we sped away from the cabin, leaving the eerie darkness of the forest behind. Emma's story became more surreal as she recounted her experiences. She spoke of a hidden cult deep in the woods, one that worshipped a malevolent deity. They had kidnapped her, she claimed, and she had narrowly escaped their clutches. Fear gnawed at me, but I couldn't dismiss her tale entirely. Her blood-stained clothes and wild eyes were too convincing to be mere fiction. I couldn't help but wonder what kind of horrors lurked in those woods. We finally reached my friend's town, and I dropped Emma off at a local police station. She begged me not to leave her alone, but I couldn't ignore the dread that had settled in my gut. I wished her luck and drove away, my mind haunted by the inexplicable events of that night. The next morning, I awoke to news of a gruesome discovery, a mass grave deep within the forest, containing the remains of numerous individuals. The authorities believed it to be the work of a long-forgotten cult, and Emma's claims suddenly seemed all too real. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that I narrowly escaped something truly sinister that night. The lost highway and the mysterious girl who entered my life still haunt my dreams. The truth remains shrouded in darkness, a chilling tale of the unknown that lingers in the depths of the forest.